So, Michael, can you give us a rundown of what just happened?
Yep. I'm Mikel, family Rivera. What basically happened was I had a Magistrates Court hearing scheduled for today at 9:30. Ended up going through at about 10:15. What happened was we went through. I went through first, and I asked if I entered with my God-given full, natural and inalienable human rights. She said, of course. I asked the same of my witnesses who were present there today. She said, of course. They came through and they stood at the back. They were asked to be seated. They refused to sit. I was asked to come forward. I refused to go forward to establish their jurisdiction. I asked her to. I asked for her to produce her oath. She got very angry very quickly. Actually, I didn't really manage to get many words in edgeways. She boldly claimed that this was her court. Bear in mind now, usually magistrates hearing, there's 3 magistrates. I always thought it was 3 magistrates, I could be wrong. There was only one lady.
It's worthwhile mentioning at this point, you did have witnesses in the court with you, did you not?
I did have witnesses in the court with me this whole time.
Yes.
I reminded her that this wasn't her court, it was in fact the public court and belonged to the public. I didn't have the words with me at the time to say she was just holding office. I asked for her to establish jurisdiction, and for her to do so by producing her written oath. She stood up and she said, basically, I'm having none of this, and began to walk out. I asked her if she was abandoning the court. She said no, she's adjourning to leave us to think about what we're doing. Which sort of belies what happens next, really, because the next thing happens, the security officer walks in and says, I've come to remove you from court. They've already by this time said that they're calling the police. I said, that's fine. He started to move to arrest me. He put his chest up first, obviously to try and intimidate me to think, oh, I might as well go anyway. I didn't say, I said, no, if you lay a finger on me, it will be common law. He says, I can use reasonable force. I said, with what authority? And he says, I have the authority. I said, well, you haven't proved the authority to me. You're just wearing a uniform. That's nothing. That doesn't mean anything. He wrestled with me for some time, video evidence of which was recorded by my friend. The whole time I was proclaiming common assault, exercising my right to resist common assault without any violence. I wasn't trying to throw him away, I was just trying to pull myself from him, detach myself from him with minimum resistance possible. Eventually he gave up and walked out, came back with a plastic folder.
I believe there's someone in the court actually advised them.
So, at one point there was a guy in the court. Now, I asked if he was a solicitor. Nobody really gave me a clear answer. The security officer said no he isn't, or the clerk said no he isn't, but he was sat in there already when we walked in, so what was he if he wasn't a solicitor? Because when we walked in there was the magistrate, there was the clerk, was it a clerk? Clerk. That was taking the notes on the that was taking the notes, and then he was sat there, so I'm assuming he was prosecution, so therefore he is a solicitor. He didn't like what was going on. I don't know if you all saw his face.
We did, I did, yeah.
He really did not like what was going on, and I was saying common law assault, and it was glaring in his eyes. He was like, this guy's right, it's common law assault. I understand what this guy's doing. I'm not going to say anything because I'm a prosecutor. But he did approach the man and said, you need to stop this, you need to stop this. So he went out to get his, came back with a plastic folder, ring folder, started leafing through. I said, is that legislation? Is that going to be an act of parliament, a statute? To which he said, he didn't answer really. I said, because if it is, it's not law, and we're standing here under common law jurisdiction. We didn't really get any time to show me that, because before we know it, 5 police would come pouring in, out of breath, obviously running, thinking that something was going down. But they came in to find a very polite man saying, oh, thank you for coming, we'd like to tell you what's going on here. They were a bit confused. One of the policemen, oh yeah, well, she's a constable. The constable came through and she said, what's going on here? And I tried to explain to her that I was trying to establish that the judge had jurisdiction by her producing her oath, but she kept cutting in. Every time I tried to say something, she kept cutting in and cutting in.
Can I just interject and just say that my recollection of the event was when the judge actually stated to you, I haven't got my oath, I left it at home. As a witness, I remember her saying that.
Yes, she did in fact actually say that. She said, I haven't got my oath with me. So what right has she got being in the court, presiding over a case, if she has not got her sworn oath with her at the time? This constable, she would not let me get a word in edgeways. I kept trying to explain the situation, but she just kept saying, I'm taking details. All the while, in the background, the police were with my friend Terry. trying to get him to give the phone because he recorded the court case on, which he wouldn't do. It's his private property. And at the time, they're saying that you can't film in a court. Well, at the time, a court had not been established. No jurisdiction had been established other than my own jurisdiction. It wasn't even clear whether there was a court going on. So at that point, he was just a man filming in a room where the law did, well, where the legislative law didn't touch. Common law was standing, and common law you can film. She asked me for my details. I told her I'm Mikel, I'm the family bearer. That's all the details. I told her I'm Mikel. That's all the information I'm willing to give. She said, right, well, I'm going to need you to move. At which point I said, right, well, I do not consent to being moved. I'm going to have to tell you I do not consent to being moved. However, I will have to move under threat of that stick there and that chemical warfare you've got there. She did a sly grin when I said that, but then she turned serious again. So I think I might get caught there. But I said, so under threat of violence and force used against us, without consent we will leave from the building. And I said, and I apply that to my witnesses here. I said, my witnesses come under the same thing. They are leaving not through consent, they are leaving under threat of force. She said was fine. So she acknowledged that and we left. We went downstairs and they held us in the reception area where we come through the scanning machine. At which point a corporal, I think it was, another constable anyway, of a higher rank came, trying to establish what was going on. But there was a lot of confusion. Let's just say they've arrested my friend Terry in the family of Warburton. He won't be held, he shouldn't be held for too long. There's no evidence there on his body, on his person. So on his person or his physical being. So he'll probably just get a wrist slapping and sent out. We'll see. He knows not to give any information. Well, I hope he does anyway. I hope he's been listening to me. We'll see. We'll see. At the bottom, the constable with the higher rank basically said the witnesses can go. I had to stay and answer a few questions. They asked me what my name was. I said it was Mikel. So another constable woman said, what's your surname? I said, I don't have a surname, I have a family name. So what's your family name? I said, it's Lubera. And I made him write down Mikel. I wanted him to write down of the family Lubera. He didn't write down of the family, he only wrote of. But that's good enough. Because that is a separation between the two names there, a clear, definite separation. It might as well be two dots. He asked for my date of birth. I told him I couldn't give it him, because I did not know it. I could not recall it. And there's only hearsay evidence as to when it was. He asked me for my address. I told him I didn't have one. I'm a traveller, and as such, I don't want. He said, "But you must be at an address where you had to contact you." I said, "No." And he went, "Right, okay." And at which point, the higher ranking constable from the top of the stairs shouted, "Right, they can go." So I thought that was a bit strange. So I thought then what they've done is that I think they're trying to say, right, we need to get these people out quickly as possible because they could cause ruckus. You can't arrest all of them because it's going to be too much paperwork and they're going to switch which way and every way. And I think in the end they realised that what went down wasn't very kosher. There was a lot of grey area, and I think they just wanted us to get out of the building altogether, and they were happy with the fact that they'd arrested Terry because in their eyes there was a clear-cut offence being made. It wasn't an offence at all, but in their eyes there was a clear-cut offence being made. They had one person, they've got something to bite their teeth into, so to speak. And I think that's why we were...
Terry's been arrested under, what law was it he's been arrested under?
I have to re-look up the act, but it's the Courtroom Act. There's something Courtroom Act, that basically a section of which prohibits all recording equipment. Right. I think the law went down in something like the 1920s when recording equipment first started coming through. It's an act of Parliament. So. And
I think you're aware that Terry at this present moment in time doesn't have any recording equipment on his person.
Doesn't have any recording equipment on his person whatsoever.
Yeah.
So he's got nothing. There's no evidence there whatsoever. So he's sorted. And so we've gone out to the car park. We've decided to vacate as soon as possible, and I will be pursuing the common assault charge on the security officer for what he did to me. I don't know whether to pursue that by myself or consult a solicitor about it. I don't really like solicitors, but they might have a better understanding of how to get the process started. Yeah.
So I think we just consult the witnesses and just get witnesses to verify what you're saying is true and verified. Hello, yeah, can you just verify that what was been said by Miko is correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Everything that he stood proudly in court and tried to establish that they had authority, they would not do it. At that point, she stood up, stormed out, and the security guard came in, challenged Miguel, and Miguel obviously said to him, well, under what authority? And he says, I have the authority, and then proceeded to obviously try and tackle him to the ground to remove him from the court. At this point, about 5 officers or constables came in, and obviously it quieted down. A few statements or a few words were passed across, and we were told to leave the court. We obviously went out. Really, we were in fear because they came here mob-handed, and we personally just left out of fear.
My name is Rob of Clan Lennox, and just to verify that what Miho was saying is correct, factually correct in every detail. We offered no resistance at all to the gentleman of the court who subsequently assaulted Miko. It was quite a disturbing scene, I must be honest. The chap was waving a book, brandishing a book saying I have authority, and on the cover of the book was Mighty Security. I'm not quite sure how they're creating laws now, but you know, obviously
I didn't spot that. Well spotted.
We'll dig the details out of that in the future. But all in all, it was a very disturbing incident, and most concerning of myself regarding the whole incident, other than the assault, was the judge saying this is my court under no uncertain terms. She was challenged. Actually, it's not her court; it's the people's court, and she said, repeated again, it's my court. And I'll leave you to think about what you're doing. At that point, she stormed off in a huff. So her husband's not going to get his tea cooked tonight, I don't think. So but the police were out of their depth. That was obvious. I mean, we can't blame the police constables, the gentlemen and ladies who were dressed in uniforms, presenting themselves as police officers who were fully tooled up in the ad. They were out of their depth. So obviously we can't put any fingers at them. But at one point, one senior policeman, as we were being ejected from the building, forcibly ejected from the building, did comment on a comment was made that he... Just to clarify the situation of the policeman as we were being ejected from the building, I think this is very interesting. Please explain.
Point I forgot actually was that as my friend Terry, the family Warburton, was being taken out, I reminded him not to give, that he was under no obligation to give any more information than his common name, his given name. At which point, one of the police officers who had a hand on him and who was guiding him out said, "If you do that, mate, you'll be there for a week." And then I pointed out to the said constable that that's not true, because he can only be held for 24 hours maximum without charge. And he said that wasn't true, and I said, oh well, in that case, don't let them try and pull any of the Anti-Terrorism Act on you, Section 42. And then he got very angry and started saying, you're talking terrorism, you said the word terrorism, you said the word terrorism, got very, very angry, and like pointing his finger, getting very puffed chest as if he said, if you carry on talking like that, I'm going to arrest you for terrorism, just for mentioning the word terrorism. So I thought that was a very interesting point there. I don't know whether that came from paranoia or an opportunity to teach some little brat a lesson. I don't know.